there's a question that rises every year around this time. And it gets a little louder with each passing generation. Why do we need to remember? We look at the legions. I was at the one on Oakland Street on Friday evening. You could have run cattle through there. Legions were once bustling community hubs, but they're now struggling with dwindling membership. We see how fewer young people attend Remembrance Day ceremonies. Some aren't interested in wearing a poppy, and some just don't know the history. And some say, that was a long time ago. What does that have to do with me today? As the generations who lived through the wars become fewer, they who remain begin to wonder. When we are gone, will they still remember? And if they don't remember, what does that mean? Psalm 78 says, we will tell the coming generation the glorious deeds, so that they should set their hope in God and not forget. The Bible knows something about human memory and about what happens when we lose it. Remembering is not about glorifying war. It's not about celebrating violence or pretending that the world has ever been a simple place. Remembrance is about honesty. The honesty to say, we cannot go back there. We must not repeat it. The younger generation, our generation, lives in a world full of noise, constant content, and constant stress, and constant crisis. They are exhausted. They are overwhelmed. And they are wary of anything that feels like empty ritual or empty symbolism. And some don't wear poppy because they think it supports war. I've heard that. Some don't wear a poppy because no one explained why it matters. And some just haven't had someone sit with them and say, this isn't about war. It's about people. Real people. People who didn't come home. People who did come home, but who were never the same. People who carried trauma so heavy that it spilled into the lives of their children and their children's children. And that right there is why remembering matters. Because remembrance is not a history lesson, it's a responsibility. To remember so that we do not become numb to the cost of conflict. We remember so that we can recognize early signs of hatred and fear when they show up in our world. We remember so that we can honor lives that ended too young, and so that we could acknowledge the sacrifices that still echo. And here's the thing. Excuse me. Here's the thing. Young people do care. They care deeply. They care about peace. They care about justice. And they care about ending violence. What's happening? They need us to tell the stories in ways that connect with the world they live in. That's what I think, anyway. They need us to speak not just about what happened in 1914 and 1945, but why it matters today. And they need us to show them that remembrance isn't just a ceremony. Remembrance is a way of being, a way of choosing peace over violence, dialogue over division, and compassion over cruelty. So the question is, will they remember after you guys are gone? We're in the, I'm 53, I'm in the middle here. Will they remember when you guys are gone? Well, it depends in part on us, on how we tell the stories, on how we live out peace in our own lives. It depends on whether we teach remembrance not as nostalgia, but as a call to build a world where war becomes unthinkable. The last thing we want is for these girl guides, these kids today. The last thing we want is for you guys to have to start a new ritual to remember your friends and your family, your husbands and your wives and your sisters and brothers. We don't want you guys to have to do something like this to commemorate folks who died during a World War III. We don't want that to happen. Just the thought of it. Remembering isn't about looking back with longing. It's about looking forward with responsibility. We remember not to keep the past alive, but to keep the future intact for you guys, for your friends, for your family, for all of our kids here. Amen.